This call is now being
This is
recorded.
Global Tel Link. You have a prepaid call from
Carlos Contreras.
an inmate at the Centinela State Prison, Centinela, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. To accept this call, say or dial 5 now. Thank you for using Global Tel Link.
All right.
All right. So, and what part of the city or what city and county did you grow up in?
Coachella, Riverside County.
And that's funny
Yeah, that was.
because a lot of so
Mm,
far a lot of the people that have been on the podcast have come from like Indio, Coachella, and those areas. And here's another one that's from that area. And I'm assuming it's because a lot of you
yeah,
guys requested transfers to Centinela because it was a lot closer to your house, right?
yeah, yep. Getting closer to home. It's very important, especially coming from from DeathRow. Like first place that I went to was actually San Diego because it's more fresh, right? Because I know how hot it gets over here, so I try to go somewhere where it's kind of fresh for my people, and so did 2 years and a half over there, and then I came down this way.
Okay. And San Diego was that
Donovan,
Donna? Oh, okay,
over in
that's right.
Donovan State Prison, level 3. Yeah.
I know I'm gonna digress from our interview, and
Okay.
in Death Row, do they have different levels also, or is it one level? How's that work?
Oh, and Death Row, everybody's housed together. Actives, SMYs, DOPs, which is the mentally, you know, incapable of taking care of themselves, or they just have a lot of mental issues, and they're all housed within the same unit, same building, and they just say like your neighbor's an active, and then the next neighbor's an SMY, your next neighbor's an active SMY, active. Like we're housed like that.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
We're housed like that on purpose so that they don't build a structure or unity amongst people in the building and try to pretty much take over. And so they have us housed like that on purpose. And there was, when I got there, it was 750 some inmates. Yeah, 750 some inmates over there, and it's uh, it's pretty much there's still segregated people because of their charges or because they got out of gangs or because they're tallying or whatever the case may be, right? There's still people that are still active over there, still part of the Mexican, and still doing what they do and still living that lifestyle.
All right, perfect. Thank you for sharing that little piece right there.
Yep.
I don't want to give out. I don't want you to give up too much just quite yet. Just give me enough.
Mhm.
Just to keep them hooked. And he's definitely going to be talking about
Yeah.
his experience in Death Row because he was there for a number of years. And what was it, like 2 years ago that you became part of that pilot program and were able to go out to a 50-50 yard or SNY yard.
I started in 20 to 2020. It's when they actually released us out, and I got busted on this case in 2008. Stayed 5 years in county jail. Ended up in death row since 2013. So I was roughly in, death row for maybe like seven some years until I became part of this program in 2020, and I was kicked out. Pretty much with I think a total of 75 inmates that wanted to participate in the program to see how it goes, and they didn't know what this program would entail or carry or what was going to happen. They just did a whole experiment. They just throw some death row people into population and see how they act. It's the main purpose of it is to save money because to house death row inmates over there, we're double escorted. They have to pay more staffing officers to take care of us. So once we become part of this, you know, this pilot program, they're saving a whole lot of money because there's two officers taking care of like maybe a whole building. Over there, there's two officers just taking you to pill call, you know, and or to a med call or to dental while you have shackles on, just to go see the doctor, or go get your teeth cleaned, you know, and and so there's more supervision over there, um, and so they're saving a lot more money. They want to use that space over there that we're at to build different programming, rehabilitation centers to help people get out. You know, it's like a reentry home type deal, level one, to help people in San Quentin integrate back into society. And since the program was a success, they're revising the program now as we speak to where they're going to make it mandatory for everybody to leave San Quentin Death Row and just make it like a reception center. Right when you get sentenced to death, they'll just send you over there and then send you to a yard, to a different prison somewhere in California. And they're giving us options now to have more freedom to be able to integrate with society, integrate with more inmates, and be part of more groups, get more rehabilitation, and that's a plus for us because we thought we were going to be forgotten in that dark little place and seeing the same 30 people for the rest of your life on that same yard, like every single day, the same stories, same avenues, same, you know, traumas and same dramas that there is anywhere, you know. So yeah.
All right. Well, I appreciate you, sharing, that little view of death row, and
Hmm.
we're definitely gonna get into that because I'm already thinking about all kinds of questions I want to ask you about death row. Definitely
That's right.
curious about like the people you come across and how it was there and compared to where you're at now, and I'm pretty sure there's gonna be a huge contrast to where you're currently at right now. But I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna go ahead and pull you back to your early childhood and
Hmm.
so so uh, uh So pretty much your parents, growing up, they pretty much were just working, right? They were working, just to be able to have a roof over your head and the bare minimum, just so you guys were
Yeah.
just able to get by. Um,
Yeah.
so how was school? When you elementary school and middle school and junior high, how was that? How were you doing in school? How were you doing academically?
Growing up in Palm Desert in the beginning, you know, because during that time it was like beginning '90s, so you know I had to go through a lot of racism. You know, I mean, I was in a city that's surrounded by a lot of whites, right? So when I would go to school, they would call me beaner, wetback, you know. And I was born in Riverside, right? But that's the way that area, that culture was, right? Until when I was a kindergartner, about five years old, you know, I was no in first grade. You know, I was 5 years, 6 years old, first grade, 5 years, you know, sixth grade. I mean, 6 years old in first grade. We moved to Coachella, and that's when I ended up, you know, being around nothing but Mexicans. Uh, like I didn't even know there was that many Mexicans that exist in an area because I was so young, right? And so I felt more comfortable. I felt like I was around my people, and I was around people that knew my language, you know, Spanish, that knew English, and I just felt more at ease than compared to the where I had to grow up, you know, because I was facing a lot of bullying over there because I was Mexican over in Palm Desert with a bunch of white kids. You know, there was about fourth graders that would come pick on me, and I was barely a kindergartner. And I remember this one time I told my older brother about it, and my older brother was a fourth grader, and around that same age as those other kids that were trying to pick on me. And he told me one day, he goes, when they come, grab rocks from the, you know, and just throw it to their face. And I remember I did it. I got in trouble. I got in trouble. They called my mom. You know, I got spanked and everything. they didn't understand. They couldn't understand what these little kids were doing to me, but they were teasing me, they were pushing me, they were hitting me, and calling me all these names, and so I had to go through a lot of that growing up, but when I moved to Coachella, it was just all that was gone, completely gone, and so that's when I went to Palm, Palm View, Palm View Pirates, and went there all the way from first grade to fifth grade. Was more of a popular person there, and at the same time we're moving into a new city, so my brothers and them were going through kind of like the backlash where, okay, who are these out of towners coming into our city? They had to go through the proving themselves to the gangs around there, testing, see if they were about it, see if they were willing to fight, see if they were willing, so they were testing like pretty much our last name, at that time, see what we're about, and my brothers weren't, nobody to be picking on either. They were fighters, so we were pretty good at fighting. We did that a lot, and so when I finally hit middle school, that's when I ended up getting into the gangs, juvenile hall, and already going to NA, narcotics, and AA classes already in 7th grade. Imagine me showing up to a AA class in 7th grade, going to the meetings, and I'll be the first one in there, and everybody's like, "Hi, my name is so and so. I'm an addict. Hi, my name is so and so. I'm a heroin addict." And by the time it got around to me, I'm like, "My name is Carlos, and I got busted sniffing gas." And so, it was one night that they busted us huffing gas. The police got us, and they took us to juvenile hall. Well, it was like before 7th grade started, right? They put me on probation because of that. Made me go to NA classes. So that was not normal for us, for a 7-year-old, 10-year-old kid, 11-year-old kid. It's not normal already going to NA classes, and so they were pretty much older people right there would tell me like, "Man, don't be doing that. It's bad for your brain." So they would give me weed. They're like, "Here, smoke weed instead." They would give me something else, and little by little, it was just, that was my life, growing up, like learning things from older people, and it influenced me into a bad track of was considered like the streets, because as I was growing up without my parents' home, right? So now imagine as I'm getting older, I have more freedom to pretty much go outside, go anywhere, and they're always working.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
So as they were always working, I was out in the streets, and then meeting my older brother's friends, then giving me drugs. Next, I wanted to be that little kid, sixth grade, 7th grade, 10, 11 years old, hanging around with people that are like freshmen and sophomores, and they would embrace me, my brother's friends, and they would give me drugs, and they would pretty much use me to take drugs for them everywhere, and teach me how to fight, and teach me how to meet women, meet girls, and all kinds of stuff, right? I was growing up as a little kid real too fast. I never had that little Tonka toy to play with, I was doing other things. And eventually, by the time I started doing speed in 7th grade, I taught this to everybody that I know. You know what? Speed made me smart. I don't care what anybody says. It did something to me that when I first did speed, I was able to focus. I was able to be focused. I was able to pay attention. I got this different confidence in me, and I started getting student of the.
You have 60 seconds remaining.
I started getting student of the month. The quarterback of the team. I started getting popular, and lo and behold, as I got older, I told therapists about this, and they were telling me that I was probably dealing with ADD as a kid, hyperattention disorder, and that's why I had a hard time learning, a hard time getting along or listening and stuff like that. So, yeah, the things that you realize as you get older.